It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
The Twins won a game. SKOR North Twins Show. Mackey, Judd, Dex. Full strength. SKOR North Twins Show. Hit that like button and subscribe button. You can go find some updates from St. Paul. That was an extra innings episode that was uploaded yesterday. On fire Trevor Plouffe Tuesday as well on this podcast feed and YouTube channel. You can go check that out. Plenty of great stuff on the SKOR North Twins Show. They might be winning games at a slow rate, but we're still pumping out content here on the SKOR North Twins Show. So that's all good stuff here. Yesterday,
that Plouffe clip, by the way, we were talking off microphone. I mean, it was him basically. Now, they won yesterday, so everything's fine. But he was saying that there's not a whole lot to get excited about with this organization, and he kind of went through the things, and it's kind of going viral on Twitter, and there's the SKOR North Twins Show Instagram and TikTok too. But yeah, old Coach Trev, it wasn't like a mean-spirited thing. He just kind of told the truth in a calm way, and it's resonating with fans.
He doesn't pull punches, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Too many people in this town pull their punches. That's all I'm going to say.
Name them. Name them, Judd.
I'm going to say about
name them all. Come on.
No, because it's so hard to figure out who pulls their punches.
I was going to say, like, Trevor Plouffe just knows every pitcher he's home run against. Judd just has a list of all the people that are too soft for this town.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this. I do think that the most accurate coverage overall probably comes, at least from the electronic side, the Timberwolves. Easily number one.
Oh, just like general tone of coverage and everything.
Yes. Grady, Peterson, Horton. You don't get a lot of punches pulled. They want the team to win, and they're fans of the team, which is I have no problem with. But if they don't play well, Provis is pretty good though too. I like Corey.
Yeah, it's hard. Some of it's just like how much pushback do you get from the organization if you. And I love that whether from Glenn Taylor all the way down, and we'll see with the new ownership on the Wolves front that Jim Peterson has been allowed to speak the truth in a respectful way.
Yep.
When they are blowing a 24-point lead against the Bucks in the fourth quarter, he can sound disgusted because it reflects what everyone is feeling in that moment. So,
which is I think the exact role of that job. So
yeah,
I like it.
So, anyways, go Twins! Hey,
go Twins! Go
It's
Twins!
all fine now.
I will unveil a Dex Plan 1.0. We did some of these last year. I'm going to unveil that here in just a little bit. I saw listeners and commenters asking, "Are we going to get a Dex Plan?" They're 4-8, but like What's next year? Can we get a Dex Plan? So I'll give you a Dex Plan. You want a Dex Plan? We'll get one. But yesterday, fellas, Joe Ryan, 7 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 4 strikeouts through 85 pitches easily in a very small amount to choose from. Probably the best individual performance from a Twins player we've seen all season. Their bullpen's been taxed. They've needed someone on their starting staff to go the distance. Could have made the case, could have trotted out there for the 8th on only 85 pitches, but they're still kind of, building him up in his velocity a little bit. Looked in a good spot yesterday for the first time, and this was his 3rd start. Velo was kind of back to where we're accustomed to seeing from Joe Ryan. But 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Twins needed a performance like that in the absolute worst way.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking for the first 2 weeks of the season here, if we're looking for positives, I don't know how many things we can like go down a list that say this is okay, let's hang your hat on this. But Joe Ryan has not issued a walk in 3 starts. He's been mostly dominant, and it's going to be interesting because if they don't climb back into it, and I know that it's early in the season, and even though you're in a hole, you're only 3 games out, not that you can like standings watch, but this could go either way with guys like Joe Ryan, who could be super valuable if you dangled him in a trade, because he's 29 years old. If you like, Royce was kind of talking on Royce Unchained yesterday. If this thing doesn't turn around, you should strongly consider just loading up with young players, prospects, and go into your first official rebuild. I could also see Joe Ryan being a part of something because he's under contract through like 2027, so he's under contract for 3 more years. So he could either be a centerpiece for whatever this is for the next 3 years, or he could be someone that gets you a haul, I think. If he's healthy and performing like this, and he's been a solid number 2 starter on some different Twins teams, you could get something really valuable for him in a couple months too. But the team is going to dictate around him whether he pitches well like this every week or not, what they do in like 2 months from now.
So to me, the start too, though, which has been obviously, despite the huge win last night, incredibly disappointing. To me, the start comes back more so to the bats. There have definitely been. I'm not trying to absolve this. There have been some clunkers from the bullpen, and there have been some clunker starts. But like 2 nights ago, before he strained his hamstring, Pablo was pitching really well, and they just couldn't score runs. So I think I come back to small picture here. If the Twins are going to succeed, if the Twins are going to turn things around, I am not as concerned about the arms as I am the bats. And what Joe did last night was fantastic. I'm not trying to downplay that, but they finally scored some bleeping runs, and it's just so frustrating because yes, the lineup might not be as good as we thought it might be. And yes, Patrick absolutely hates it. But that being said, you should, with this lineup, be able to generate some runs, right? So like short term, I guess my question is, can the bats get on track enough to, like last night, score 4 runs, score 5 runs? Because that's the one thing in the early going here that's really surprised me in a negative way is just how impossible it's been at time for this team to score runs. They get a guy on first, nobody out. Carlos Correa comes up, 4-6-3. It happened again, or 6-4-3. I think he's now hit into as many double plays this season as he did all of last year. And I want to say 2 years ago he hit into like 30. So can you get any offense consistently for the pitchers?
Yeah, one development that is for that lineup, Ty France has shown some flashes. It's so early, but he turned on that pitch and dumped it into the seats last night as part of his 3-hit performance. There's just so many automatic outs in this lineup right now, and if Ty France can flip from kind of an automatic out, which he's been with some injuries the last couple of years, to being the guy he was in Seattle. And if Carlos Correa can flip from being an automatic out in the first 2 weeks of the season to being the guy that you're paying $35+ million a year to, this lineup can actually flip. I'm not saying it's going to be the Dodgers or the Yankees lineup, but if a couple of these guys show some life and you're starting pitching with Joe Ryan, et cetera, you can see a little bit of a path, but there's so many ifs. If. And the fact that like you don't really know who your second baseman is, you've got like one reliable defensive infielder right now in Carlos Correa, and you don't know if he's going to be healthy. There's just they're leaning on a lot of hypotheticals here right now, even though that was a great win last night.
Yeah, a lot of hypotheticals, and just they still need all 3 phases to click. It's not like one phase is doing really well and the other 2 are lacking, or vice versa, 2 are good and one's lacking. I mean, they actually had a very good night in the field yesterday for the first time. They actually climbed up significantly in defensive runs saved after being probably the worst fielding team through the first 11, 12 games. Now the Twins are only -3 in defensive runs saved. That was like -9 48 hours ago. So it's a work in progress defensively. They're starting pitching after Joe Ryan has just kind of been a shrug emoji, which was supposed to be an big expectation for them, and their bullpen too. So all 3 phases have to start clicking. No one's been consistent. It's been inconsistently consistent. How about a Dex Plan 1.0? Here we go.
Here we go.
We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Here's what I'm going to do, because it's Thursday. It's the series finale against KC. A lot of people might be consuming this podcast either when this game has started or maybe it's already ended. I'm going to omit this game from the Dex Plan. I'm going to look at the 12 games after.
Okay,
so I'm going to look at the 12 games after Thursday night's finale in KC. So 12 games against the Tigers, the Mets, the Whiteys, the Angels. 3 of these 4 teams have gotten off to pretty decent starts. Tigers are 7-5, Mets are 8-4, Angels are 7-4. They might be the biggest surprise of Major League Baseball this year through at least the first 12 games. The White Sox are 2-9 or 1-9 against every other team. Pretty much they have had one other win that's not against the Twins this year. They're back to being the White Sox, so that helps. So here's my plan. Here's my first Dex Plan 1.0 and your baby steps to return to contention. Let's start with the record, because that's the most important thing. Can you go 7-5? can you go 7-5 over this 12-game stretch?
And they're 4-8 right now. We don't know what we're going to say. We don't know what's going to happen today. And you're saying 7-5. So if they win today, which would get them another would get them to 5-8.
Yep.
Then the 7-5 would get them to 12-13.
One game back.
12-13.
One game back at 500. That is.
Yeah, I don't know how many games you'd be back in the old division, but that would get you. Yeah, that would get you. Let's see. Yeah, so basically going into the Angels series, you're not counting the Angels series, right?
No. I believe I am.
Okay. Well, that's that'd be 15 games then.
Let me look back.
So Tigers is 3.
Uh-oh,
I think we're already the Dex math is already
A lot of tabs. Hold on.
the Dex math is already a little off here. So Tigers for 3, Mets for 3, Braves for 3.
The Bravos. I meant the Bravos.
And then you get the Whiteys that's your 12 games, and then going into the Angels series, I think you should finish out. I think the Dex plan should finish out all 15 of those games. Finish out that homestand.
Nope, screwed that up. Thank you. Braves have been really bad this year, so that's also good. Good news for the Twins. So 15 games. Can you go 9-6?
Okay. Wow. I mean, so 9-6 would get you, and we'll add the game today in later. That would get you to 13-14. And then if you win today, then you'd be an even 500. You'd be back to 500 heading into the Cleveland series to wrap up April. That's a tall ask, though. I feel like 9. I get that part of the Dex plan is motivation for the clubhouse, right? Because I'm sure they'll be playing this. And
worked last year in 1.0.
It did. Well, it worked for many of the different iterations until it stopped working in the second half of the season.
And then it blew up.
Yeah. But it's a lot of home games here too.
Yeah, that's
and
part of this.
It's mostly home games. In fact, the only road series is the Atlanta series from the 18th through the 20th. So, Judd, what are your thoughts? Is 9-6 over the next 15 games realistic?
I'd love to say absolutely because it should be, but it feels like a stretch unless I begin to see, including today, some consistency. So. It feels weird to say this, but it feels like it's a huge ask, and it shouldn't be. If they can get hot, but now they're going to be without Pablo for at least a start. I'm guessing 2 starts. Like they're like, it's always, I think he dodged a bullet. He's fine, and then the next day it's he'll probably have to go on the IL, and then the next day it's like he'll just miss 1 start. I guess I need to see more in, like, let's say today's game against at KC and then the series against the Tigers to tell you if I feel that there is a chance that last night signaled a turnaround, or was that a one-off in which they scored some runs and just got a great start. So I feel like it's a lot to ask. 9-6.
Good news is for the Tigers series, you do not get Skubal. So Skubal is not pitching in that series, which is good news for the Twins, the reigning Cy Young winner and probably the best pitcher in baseball. So that's pretty good. You have Michael Wacha versus Bailey Ober to wrap up the series on Thursday in KC. Ober hopefully with regaining the 8 pounds he lost and trying to get consistently hydrated is in a good spot for the first time for the 3rd start of the season. But Friday's Apple TV game, Chris Paddock on the hill. For the Twins on Friday, April 11th against the Tigers to open things up. That one's going to be interesting because he needs to at least show he can get an out in the 5th inning, for Christ's sakes.
Tigers are playing pretty well too.
They are. Zebby Matthews, who will probably take Pablo's spot in the rotation. It's usually how this works out, unfortunately, is we always like to create paths, and how it usually ends up happening is an injury takes place to another player. Zebby, through 5 innings that I was there on Tuesday. I've been trying to slowly build him up. They don't want him to be shoving 105 pitches right away. And his velocity's there. I think the thing we have to watch with Zebby, and just talking to some other people in the last week about him, is he lives, and this is a problem with Twins pitching staffs, we talked about it earlier this week, he lives so much in the strike zone that eventually major league hitters just foul that off, and eventually will just take you deep if you leave one random cookie in the middle of the zone. So he has to either, number one, he has to induce chase, or he's going to have to figure out ways to get outs pitched to contact. Yesterday, Joe Ryan had just 4 strikeouts. Like, he had a lot of fly ball outs. He was able to get outs that don't involve swing and misses. I think Zebby's upwards of velocity is a good thing, and he's on a fast track, and I hope he does not lead this Twins starting rotation, regardless of the return of Pablo Lopez. But he's going to have to figure out ways to get batters out.
Joe Ryan's stuff, like, even when he's throwing it in the zone, it's hard to square it up. When you compare, like, I'll just use a basic metric here, but like hits allowed per 9 innings, you could use, like, there's different batted ball data and exit velocity and things, but just purely hits allowed per 9 innings, he's consistently for his career in that like 7 to 7.5 hits, whereas Chris Paddock is like 10.5, 11 hits, just much more hittable. And that's the one thing I worry about with Zebby too, is you can get away in the minor leagues with just being a strike merchant. Just literally don't. If your number one goal is to not walk someone and you just pump the zone, yeah, you're going to get some of those hitters. They're professional hitters. They're going to tag you sometimes, but they're also not good enough. They're going to miss pitches sometimes more than major league hitters. So is he? Yeah, that is the one question, but you're not going to know until Zebby gets up and has another extended run in the majors. I think like Paddock has, and I get that he's not going to take Paddock's spot if Lopez is out, but Paddock has already proven over 5 or 6 years he's super hittable as a starting pitcher. Zebby hasn't yet. Like, Zebby was hittable for a few starts last year, but I just think it's worth attempting something that you don't know the end result of in Zebby versus the one that you've known for 2 or 3 years in Chris Paddock.
Well, and I think the potential here that at least has a lot of common sense based is if Zebby comes up and looks good in Pablo's place, he shouldn't go back down. And so then it creates a pretty easy transition to because, I mean, Paddock, as we've discussed before, can go to the bullpen. It's not like that's, oh my God, he's being DFA'd or something like that. But just to go back to the bats, I just want to see some consistency here. I want to see good at bats. I want to see the Borg-Schulte effect take place. Like, you changed your whole hitting staff out. So clearly, and I don't disagree with that decision, there was a reason for it. And my question is, can we start to see now, and perhaps it took some time. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt in the conversation here. Perhaps it just took some time. Perhaps it's a philosophical shift of things. I don't know. But can you just start to score some runs? Because if you can't, you know what? It don't matter.
Yeah, but you're not going to, like, this is the thing. Like, we can talk about the hitting approach and Borg-Schulte and whatever. This Twins team's potential success was predicated largely on Royce Lewis playing a full season for the first time, emerging into his prime years, Brooks Lee jumping up as one of the top prospects in the league, playing a full season and becoming a major league force in a batting order. Like, those two guys are nowhere to be found right now with injuries. And I get that Brooks Lee is like rehabbing, but we are so far away from the version of this Twins lineup that we thought we were getting a month and a half ago during spring training. And you can ask for consistency all you want, but when you're talking about a 31-year-old Harrison Bader who is who he is, like, he's a 31-year-old major leaguer who's been in the bigs for 7 years or whatever it is, 8 years. I would even venture to say that some of these other dudes, like, we treat Trevor Larnach, for instance, like he's this 23-year-old with all this potential. He's 28. Your other two star players who are not guaranteed to be healthy for the full season, Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, they're in their 30s, and I get what, like, Correa, I think, is going to turn it around if his foot is fine. Vasquez is 34. He's been a bad hitter for years. Like, his last big offensive season was years ago with the Red Sox.
Right.
And so you're looking at this and you're basically hoping that Ty France can tap into what he was 3 years ago, that guys who are in their late 20s or 30s, Jose Miranda, Trevor Larnach, Harrison Bader, I guess I'll throw Mickey Gasper in the mix because he's on the team and getting some plate appearances. Like, you're hoping for those guys to outperform the baselines that they've set throughout years of being a professional hitter.
I'm expecting Correa to turn things around quickly. Buxton,
Yeah.
I'm expecting more from. And look, I'm not. This is not a conversation about the Twins are disappointing me with their bats because they're not the 27 Yankees. I'm just expecting something.
Yeah, and I think
And
where
you're
I'm at
getting
with this
almost
is
nothing. Jeffers.
if the premise of this whole thing is, hey, the Twins could get to 90 wins if. Two of the biggest ifs were Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee. And Royce Lewis, I'm sorry, but like if he's back before the All-Star break, I think it'll be a win for the organization. But you're going to miss a half season of one of your most important players. Brooks Lee, nagging back injury, and we'll see. Maybe he climbs back into the lineup soon and it clicks right away. But you're already starting the way that you've started and not being able to have Royce Lewis anchor the middle of this lineup. You're literally clinging to things that are almost impossible going forward. Maybe the pitching can snap out of it and carry this thing more, but I'm kind of play this back in a month if they go on a streak of 10 wins in 12 games. Where I'm kind of at this point is how can you refresh this organization, like Pat was saying yesterday,
Sure.
as quickly as possible, rip the Band-Aid off, and you're still going to have Royce Lewis. If you were to spend the next 3 months trading off, this is going to sound like sacrilege, Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa. I know people like Byron Buxton. No one's ever brought up potentially trading Byron Buxton, but the guy's 31 years old, and you've missed the window. Like, you're not a championship contending team unless Brooks Lee and Royce Lewis are a huge part of that in 2025. So why sit here and sharpen the pencil? How could, if this happened, maybe they could get to 85 wins, and then what? Like,
I'm with you.
There's no juice.
If they've got the balls, yeah, but they don't.
Maybe if Jose Miranda hits his second home run since June of last year, it's like, what are we doing?
If they'll do that, yes, but I don't think that Falvey has the guts to do that.
Like, I think it would be better, all due respect to the Dex plan, motivating this team to get back to 500.
You just dump
9-6. I think the best medicine for the long-term health of the organization would be to flip that record to 6-9 and make it obvious, it's not happening in 2025, just like it didn't happen in August and September last year. And you are staring at a major, major shakeup of the core of this organization. And just get on with it. You brought in Correa and you signed Buxton as centerpieces to win a World Series. Like, that is why you spent $35 million on Carlos Correa. I'm not even like blaming him. He's hurt. Like, he missed the second half of last season. But the sooner you can acknowledge it's not working, let's get out in front of this and let's see what value we can salvage. And that's why I brought up the Joe Ryan thing. It's like, when Joe Ryan pitches like that, I'm thinking, well, he's 29. When are they really going to be in actual World Series contention? If best case scenario, a couple years, if you load up, I would trade him. I would trade him in 2 or 3 months before I would sit here sharpening a pencil for how can you get to 84 wins and maybe sneak your way in. And, it's like they're floundering.
Right. And if they were well run, they might, but they're not. So they won't. So they're stuck.
Well, they were so well run that they promoted. They're very confident.
They are stuck. But I think if we are going to talk about not right now making moves, we can't say, hey, every starter, go do what Joe did on Wednesday night. That's the problem. So, yes, I would love to see a shakeup. It'd be great for the show. It'd be great fun to talk about they've traded this guy and they got this guy and they got this guy. But meanwhile, I don't think that they're going to. And the question then becomes, what can you do? What is your possibility in the short term? The other problem with the massive dump, which I love the thought of, is this. Buxton and Correa have no trades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I get that, but that's where you would go to Correa, and
I don't think
Buxton's an interesting case, but because he's been a lifer here.
I don't think Buck will leave.
But Correa is a mercenary. I mean, people think like because he's wearing a Twins hat that he's like, dude, he literally
that contract. You would have to take on a ton. They're not going to trade. Nobody's going to take.
Yeah, but they're taking on all of it right now.
Right.
So if you could take on. I mean, hell, take on 50% of it and get players who aren't 30 years old with chronic ankle and foot problems.
No, yeah, I mean,
it's a sunk cost. So you can either keep riding him into his demise as a peak shortstop, or you can. He's not selling tickets. Like, it's not like their attendance is spiking because of him.
You're preaching the choir, baby. Yeah,
he's a great shortstop, and when he's healthy, he's a really good hitter. And I would argue that he's been one of the more underrated players over the last 10 years. But he doesn't move ticket sales. He doesn't play 130, 150 games anymore. And right now, he's actually been one of your worst hitters through the first 2 weeks of the season too. So a small sample size. So I just think there's a lot of ifs, there's a lot of hope, and there's a lot of clinging to these things that are mirages for this organization. And hey, if they go 9-6 and back to 500, and they vault into contention in June, I will eat it. But I would be having, if I was inside that organization, I would be having meetings right now about, if this thing doesn't turn around, how can we capitalize to make the turnaround as quick as possible and not let this thing linger in mediocrity any longer.
Dex, what do you think is the earliest that if they were to do it, which I severely doubt, but let's say
it's a July thing.
What do you think is the timing of that move? Because I will say this, the 82 team that Patrick talked about started to dump in April. Like they just started to trade away. I think if you go back and look at the Smalley and Weiniger trades, they were early. So what's your opinion about when that would potentially start if they were to do it?
June 1st, as a floor of June 1st. I think it's probably a better bet to make that the Twins aren't legit and this is just bad luck. Like that they're not good. Like through the first 12 games, they haven't been good. Their pitching has stunk. Their lineup stinks. Their defense isn't working. You're relying on platoon players to play every single day because you have injuries to your core players. You have a nice bullpen, but bullpens are volatile. It's like goaltending in hockey. You can have a great goaltending season one year, and next year you're just kind of meh. It's hard to project bullpen success. You have guys that are in ARB1 status that you can trade away. They're in an interesting predicament here, but minimum June 1st before I think we start having those conversations. And again, I think it's probably more likely that they're a team that is selling than is just snake bitten and completely about to wake up and be the 27 Yankees starting with the Dex Plan 1.0 tomorrow. But that's where they're at. And maybe another caveat in the Dex Plan 1.0 is players to watch, players that have to be better. And it easily, I mean, this is the easiest one to pick. It's Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton. I mean, these are the two guys that are your superstar players that are supposed to be carrying your lineup. And through the first 11, 12 games, they are combined hitting 166 on the season with 6 runs driven in, batting second, third, fourth in the order. Matt Wallner's been solid in the leadoff spot. Ty France rakes at Kauffman Stadium, and there might be something there. Ryan Jeffers only plays part-time, but also has not lived up to expectations. Like those two have to anchor the lineup. If Trevor Larnach can rake right-handed pitching, awesome. If Matt Wallner's getting on base and might strike out a few times, that's all right, but he's doing his job. Those two have to pick up the extra slack without the Royce Lewis and Brooks Lees in the lineup, because you can't rely on Mickey Gasper, Edward Julian, Jose Miranda to have 750, 800 OPSs, which I know is league average, but they haven't shown consistently that they can be those type of guys.
Yeah, I mean, final thought, and then I know we got a random twin of the week here. I thought, again, because of Royce and Brooks, I was very bullish on Royce and Brooks, mostly Royce. And fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 5 times with injuries. Love me some Royce, but
won't get fooled again.
He's not on the field. Yep. I thought this team was going to be a little sneakier. Thought this team was going to have a little bit more juice, and sometimes the results and the eye test, it doesn't necessarily always take until June to figure out oh, okay, maybe I was wrong about a baseball team. We'll see. But if you zoom out, and if I were to have told you guys going into the season, you're going to have a lineup with 5 or 6 guys, maybe sometimes 7 guys of the hitters that you use in either lefty or righty lineups. Over half of your lineup every single time out on paper has below average OPS plus guys. If you look at their track records the last 2 or 3 years. You're going to have 3 bad defensive infielders. And you're going to have a starting rotation with 3 reliable guys, one that you're hoping can translate from last year, Simeon Woods Richardson, And then the 5th spot is a shoulder shrug emoji right now. And then, by the way, a bullpen that I think only has, is it one? It's 2 lefties on the 40-man roster. So you, like, again, have just a complete dearth of left-handed pitching. Cody Funderburk is the other one.
Mm-hmm.
You'd say, and then the next question is, do you think that team is going to win 90-plus games and do some damage heading into October? It would be hard to justify with those facts, right? Like, over half your lineup is bad, 3 bad defensive infielders, 3 reliable starting pitchers. A lot has to go right on the if side for you to win 90-plus games. So I already feel like my optimism was incorrect like a month ago when we were going through our spring training conversations.
The problem though is this, from a baseball standpoint, yeah, it would be great to bail and to get prospects and do that. From a business standpoint, they are really stuck though right now.
Are they? I don't think they are.
Why?
No one cares now. Like, you're acting like,
no.
If you move off Correa, no one's going to come to the ballpark.
I think he's saying they have dug their own grave, and no matter what they do, they're living in that grave.
Right, but do they?
That's what I'm saying.
Do they? Here's my question: do they have the gall right now? And I know what you're saying, and Phil, I agree with your points, but from their perspective, do they have the gall to say, okay, you know what, screw it. We're not drawing, we never will, and we have no subscriptions to our direct-to-consumer, revolutionary for us television network. And now we just don't care. So we are going to take a bath, already majorly in debt. We are going to now take a bath and just completely punt, which, by the way, for the long term, would be the right thing. But when's the last time the Pohlads did the right thing? So I get your point. I agree with your points. I just think we are not looking at this as the Pohlads do, which really is not, which is for years now never been with a really good clarity that you probably should, and that the fan base probably does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're kind of saying the same thing, but just to clarify my point, the Pohlads and Derek Falvey now are running a restaurant, and the customers. We serve a certain type of food at this restaurant, and people aren't coming to the restaurant. Revenue, you want to talk about like taking a bath? Well, it was reported a couple weeks ago they're like $400 million in debt dating back 2 decades, 3 decades.
That's part of the problem.
So their current restaurant, quote unquote, is taking a bath. They're missing out on $50 million in TV revenue, which I think some of it is their fault for not being more proactive. Also not having an entertaining product that people want to seek out, but also it's just the winds of change in sports consumption and baseball. There's nothing to lose at this point. They're probably tracking for the worst attendance season in Target Field history with a $140 million payroll with Carlos Correa and Byron Buxton.
Yeah, but it's April, and they're saying our restaurant, we have been assured in June we're going to get a delivery of lobsters, and they're going to be the best lobsters, and they're going to save us. I'm saying the Pohlads don't really look at things with the clarity that I would personally like. Now, do I think personally that that shipment of lobsters is coming in June? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean that they don't. So it's a really dysfunctional place to be, and in some ways it feels like the Timberwolves in their worst years, or in the Twins in the Metrodome. Ty France playing the role of Alex Cole, for instance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You bring in these old guys, and you're like, okay, this guy played at one time. But just to be very clear, I agree with your points. I would love to see them do these things. I guess my frustration is I don't think that they have the guts to do them, and I don't think that they have the clarity to do them. And I think that's part of the problem.
And they will get to see if the lobster shipment comes in June, because this is I don't think this is an April or May. I'm looking ahead toward June, July right now, even though they won that game yesterday. Congratulations. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but they should be, again, it would be a liberating feeling, I think, for everyone involved, for fans. Fans would be kind of pissed at first because, hey, it traded Buxton or something. I don't know that Buxton would even waive his no trade. Correa would. You think Correa, dude, you might only have like 3 years left on that ankle and foot. do you want to go play for the Mets or somebody or the Yankees or whoever? And I think he would say yes in a heartbeat. And then it comes down to how much would you have to eat? But I'd rather eat less than 100% and get a prospect or two in return than eat 100% and have the Twins be the way that they've been the last couple of years. So,
speaking of eating, Grandpa's Barbecue, proud sponsor. Put some sauce on that ankle. Put some sauce on that rubber. Put some sauce on that bat, for Christ's sakes, okay? Grandpa's Barbecue, discovered the tradition with Grandpa's original barbecue sauce. We're talking handcrafted, high-quality sauces, spices, and rubs. Sweet Barbecue, Mill City Steakhouse, Northwoods All-Purpose Blend, Northern Buffalo. Go to grandpasbarbecue.com. grandpasbarbecueshop.com to see the variety. Every Twin Show listener gets free shipping on orders $40 or more. That's grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
hey, Dennis Kirk is here for riding season. It's like 60 degrees today. Sun is shining. So it's definitely riding season today, at least in the Twin Cities area. So you can go to denniskirk.com and check out over 185,000 parts, apparel, and accessories for motorcycles, ATVs, UTVs, dirt bikes, maybe even snowmobiles if you want to get a head start, since we're talking about getting a head start on today's SKOR North Twins Show. Same-day shipping on orders placed before 6 p.m. Central Time and free shipping on orders over $89. Dennis Kirk is your place if you like to ride and hit those open roads. DennisKirk.com.
Baseball.
Random Twin of the Week. Sports Dad has one. It's been a while since I've won. Last week, Bull Buchanan for Phil. Before that, Jeff Rebele, Kyle Gibson, Greg Swindell, Carl Pavano, Brian Dozier have been some of the other Random Twins of the Week.
Yeah, all time, I have 29 wins. Judd has 25. Dex has 24. So this is a tightly contested historical battle here. Judd,
ready,
you got
boys?
the clues. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
I am indeed. All right, clue number 1, gentlemen. This random twin attended high school in Scottsdale, Arizona, and was named to the Rawlings All-America team and was a Baseball All-America third team and Arizona State Player of the Year. He dominated high school baseball in a pretty damn good baseball state.
So all of that is high school resume?
That's
or no,
all
you
high
said
school.
Arizona. Okay. So
That's-
Arizona
yeah,
State
Scottsdale.
was... Okay.
Yeah. He was the Arizona lowercase state player of the year in high school.
Got
in
it.
Scottsdale.
Okay.
All right.
He's a stud. He's a stud.
He's a stud.
high school
He's a
player.
stud.
Okay.
We've established that. Now, his college baseball career took a circuitous route. He started at Southern Cal, then went to South Mountain Community College, which is in Phoenix,
Oh, yeah, of course.
and then he went to Texas Tech.
Whoa.
So things didn't work out with the Trojans. He essentially went home to South Mountain CC and then went to Texas Tech to finish out his college baseball career.
Texas Tech. Shoot him up.
Yeah, exactly right. All right, clue number 3. He was selected in the 17th round of the draft out of high school, didn't sign, and then was taken in the 25th round out of Texas Tech in college. And in both cases, he was taken by the same team. That would be the Los Angeles Dodgers.
So he wound up as a 25th rounder at the end
Correct.
of the day.
His stock
Wow.
dropped because of that circuitous route in college. Yeah, his stock dropped. He was a far bigger stud out of high school than he was out of college.
It's kind of boring. Like if you're like a 17th round pick out of high school,
Yeah,
like the signing bonus isn't life changing.
Exactly. Well, and he probably thought I'm going to Southern Cal. I'm going to shove. I'm going to dominate, and he
Is that a
didn't.
clue?
Yeah,
He
it
made-
sounds like a clue to me.
Yes. He made his major league debut on September the 16th, 2014, against the Rockies. He was a Dodger at the time, so he did come up eventually. He had signed as the 25th round pick. Made his debut on September 16th, 2014, shoving for the Dodgers. He would later have, during the course of his career, he would later have 2 stints with the Yankees and 1 with the Brewers, but in both cases, he never pitched for the big league club. So he started to bounce around a bit. Came up with the Dodgers, started to sign a series of like minor league contracts, basically.
Oh my gosh.
His best single season WAR was 1.1 in 2023 at the age of 33.
Oh man, this is Dex's wheelhouse now.
Now, I'm going to give you some context with this next clue. He posted a 1.46 ERA in 10 appearances with the Twins in 2022. Only 10, though. That's because his season was cut short in late July of that year, 2022, with the Twins, when he underwent hip surgery, which had sidelined him. They had IL'd him in like May or June, hoping that they could get it right. They couldn't, and eventually did the surgery in July of 22.
Sugar Honey Ice, who is this?
It's not. No, he wasn't here until 2 years ago. Boy, it's so funny. Like some of the recent ones get muddled together. It wasn't. I'll say it wasn't Brock Stewart. Was it Brock Stewart?
Not Brock Stewart.
Okay. No, he wasn't here in 2000.
He has.
Good guess though.
He has pitched in 293 games over now 11 big league seasons.
Dude, who is
2022? You son
Of those 293 games, he has made just one start. Just one start. And it came in 2021 with the Twins.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my God. Devin Smeltzer.
No, you're over.
No.
It's not. I thought it was Devin Smeltzer earlier, but he definitely did not debut in 2014. But that was I thought Smeltzer earlier too.
0 for 2.
So you're 0 for 2. Dex.
I got one more guess left.
Dex has a full slate left.
And 293 games for Devin Smeltzer is quite a lot. But I thought that too. Who is this? Who the hell is this?
In March of 2023, he was traded by the Twins for cash considerations.
In what month?
March of 23.
This is wild. This is so. People are already screaming at their speakers right now.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Of course you can.
Is this guy currently on the Twins?
He is proof that you can go home again.
Danny Coulomb.
Correct.
Danny
Jeez.
Coulomb.
God.
Danny Coulomb.
Had to pull out a current Twin. It's been a long time since we've done that.
Oh, good God.
Wow. Dex can take a bow there.
Nice work,
Congrats.
Dex. You ended the losing streak.
I did.
Danny Coulomb. All right.
Danny Coulomb.
Wow.
Coulomb.
Where's the U? Does he have 2 U's in his name?
No, he spells Coulomb with it's like C. Yeah, there's a U. C.
There's a U. Yeah,
Yeah.
Coulomb.
Oh, no,
There's
there's a U.
O-M-B.
There's a U in
I
there.
think.
You can't have
Columbia?
a lefty without Cool Whip.
I know on Flagrant Howls you guys do sometimes a current Timberwolf. We rarely do current Twins.
Very
I think, on
rarely.
Random Twins.
Yeah,
It's allowed. It's totally allowed.
It is
It's called
allowed.
It's called Random Twin, not former Random Twin. So, yeah, and I thought it had been a long time since we
Could be a
since
current
we
random twin. Yeah.
unleashed current Twin.
Well, that snaps my 3-game winning streak. So now you guys will feel my wrath next week.
Yeah.
I'll be giving out the clues. Dex and Judd now tied with 25 wins. I have 29. So, all right, there you go. Danny Coulomb.
Danny Coulomb. Whew.
Hit that like button and subscribe button right here on the SKOR North Twins Show YouTube channel. Some more extra innings content coming at you this weekend. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking at you soon.